So good day. So for our next discussion about to our subject, civil engineering laws, ethics and contracts. So ito ay continuation ng mga previous discussion regarding to civil engineering laws, ethics and contracts. So civil engineering, as I've mentioned, is a type of project or a type of profession that has many important role in it. So civil engineers are one of the key responsible professionals to the development of a certain area. Okay, so in that sense, and as the current status of our profession, civil engineering, meron mga iba't ibang mga subdivisions or mga iba't ibang mga specializations yung civil engineering. Okay, not to mention yung mga water resources, sa teaching, sa structural, and so on. Okay, so napaka-broad ng civil engineering today. Okay, so on this presentation or in this agenda, i-identify natin or recap natin or dadagdagan pa natin yung nalalaman natin regarding to specializations or subdivisions of civil engineering. Okay, so umpisahan natin sa structural engineering, water resources, environmental, construction, municipal and urban engineering. So structural engineering, it pertains to the design and analysis of buildings, bridges, and large-scale structures. So sa specialization na to, or sa subdivision na to, ang civil engineer na merong specialization sa structural engineering is, although yung mga civil engineer are capable of this subdivision. So yung point lang natin, dahil in-identify natin or sinubdivide natin ito is for an opportunity for a civil engineer kung ano yung gusto niya or possible pa niya na i-specialize. Okay? So, kaya naman lahat natin ito, yung mga structural engineering, water resources, and whatsoever. But yung point of this discussion is what might a civil engineer or civil engineering student want to pursue further in his or her study. Okay? Going back for structural engineering, these structural engineers or civil engineer are the one responsible for the design and analysis of buildings, bridges, and large-scale structures. So, legally speaking, okay, according to the building code, the structural engineer is the one who will sign and seal and design a structures more than 3-story. So, yung mga 3 or 1 to 2-story buildings that being applied in as per a building code, kahit yung registered civil engineer lang or registered civil engineer yung magde-design and analysis is pwede na. Whereas kapag magpapatayo ka ng building more than 3 stories or complicated scope of work, kinakailangan is structural engineer na yung mag-design and design, sign, and seal ng plano natin. So, paano naman maging isang structural engineer? So, para maging isang structural engineer, you must be accredited by the Association of Structural Engineers of the Philippines. So, yung ASEP, yun yung pinaka-main group, main organizations ng mga structural engineers na sinasabi natin. So, based on my information or based on my knowledge, in order for us to be qualified to become a structural engineer, we should have at least 12 units of ASEP CPD points or sorry, we have a 12 units in master's degree, major in structural engineering for that matter. So um, another way din para maging tayong isang structural engineer, pinaka main requirement is at least meron tayong pertinent workshops or trainings na relevant sa structural engineering. So, meron yung corresponding points. Okay, and syempre, na-applyan yun, magde-design or magbibigay kayo ng isang sample projects na kayo mismo yung nag-design in compliance to the structural codes, not just in the Philippine codes, but any um, best practice na structural code na available today. Next is for water resources engineering. Water resources engineering is the management of the water supply, flood protection, and drainage system. So for this matter, as name suggests, this subdivision of civil engineering pertains in how we will manage, design, conserve at least the water supply that na ginagamit natin today. Also, yung merong specializations water sources is um, concerned din siya sa flood protection or sa mga flood mitigating structures na sinasabi natin, as well as to the drainage systems. Okay, next for environmental engineering, for protection of environmental through wastewater treatment and pollution control. So I believe this environmental engineering is not included in the list of the specialization of the civil engineer. But yung gusto ko point out dito is yung word na pollution control. Okay, so meron tayong organization sa government, which is yung Environmental and Management Bureau, na kung saan siya yung nangangasiwa sa mga compliance ng mga environmental laws natin, yung hazardous waste and infectious waste, something yung RA 6969, Water Code, and etc. Or Clean Water Act, Clean Air Act, and among others. Okay, so isa sa mga requirement nila doon is to have a pollution control officer. And syempre mga pollution control officer, though hindi siya necessary engineer, meron pagkakataon na ina-appoint sa isang organization or sa isang company na merong idea or merong knowledge about so engineering, particularly to chemical, civil, and etc. Next, construction engineering pertains to the management execution of construction projects and operation. So this type of subdivision, okay, pinag-aaralan ng isang construction engineer or construction engineer na civil engineer kung paano ba i-manage na maayos effectively yung project scheduling, project delivery methods, okay? Para yung project should be delivered on time and hindi tayo mag-aabono or mag-exceed dun sa approved budget ng project natin. Okay, although some say na construction engineering is not the type of specialization that we're going into initially, okay, or kumbaga natitake for granted yung construction engineering, okay, but kung titignan natin, yung construction engineering has a significant objective. Okay, kasi kung hindi natin ma-manage na maayos yung project natin effectively and efficiently, kung paano dapat yung pinagsasabay-sabay na mga scope of work, pinagsasabay-sabay yung mga delivery ng mga materials, kung paano gagawin, paano magbe-billing, hindi gagana o hindi ma-accomplish right away yung project natin kahit gaano pa yun ka-design, kung hindi naman yun alam or hindi naman effective yung pag-implement. Okay? And meron tayong data na most of the problems in construction happens from the implementation phase. Okay? So, di ba meron tayong 5 phases of construction: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and closure. So, most of the time, problem happens to the or problem happens from the implementation stage. Okay? Kasi doon na nagkakaroon ng mga variances, mga changes, yung mga as per plan, most of the time hindi yun natutupad. So as a construction engineer, anong gagawin natin yun if such happen? Okay? Next is yung municipal and urban engineering, pertains to the infrastructure for cities and municipalities. So wala din ito sa specialization list ng PICE, if I'm not mistaken. But the municipal and urban engineering they're here responsible for the development of a certain cities and municipalities. Next, transportation engineering pertains to a specialized field of civil engineer that designs of highways, roads, transportations, and even for airports as well. So sila yung mga nagde-design, nagpaplano ng mga iba't ibang mga structures, hindi lang mga structures, kundi how to manage those infrastructures. Next is for geotechnical engineering is the field of civil engineering or subdivision of engineering that deals with the behavior of the soil beneath our surface. Okay, kung paano ba nagsisettle or kung ano ba yung mga components and characteristics of the soils, if a structures will place, magiging ba siyang suitable, lalo na mga foundation natin, kung square footing lang ba, rectangular, matte, kailangan ba mag-pile. So, sa geotechnical engineering, doon natin malalaman kung what type of foundation suits to that soil parameters. Okay, so very important yun dahil kahit gaano pa kaganda yung design, dinesign mo with most of your capability or your skills, but you opt to not to consider the behavior of the soil beneath our surface, um, hindi maglalas at least yung structures natin. Possible magkakaroon ng differential settlement, magsisettle as not hindi siya allowable yung naging settlement or magti-tilt. Okay? Hindi mo pala na-consider na yung lugar pa na pinagtayuan mo is mababa lang yung kanyang soil bearing capacity, kaya yung design ng foundation mo is square footing lang. So yung nangyari is nag-tilt or nagbaba or unwanted happened yung nangyari. So kailangan as a geotechnical engineer, makonsider natin lahat, lalo na sa beneath our soil. For coastal engineering, so those are specialized civil engineer that designs the structures in coastline shores protection system. So based on my research, the main concern of coastal engineering is the wave, kung gaano ba kalakas or gaano ba kalaki yung implication ng wave sa mga structures natin. And on the other hand, since yung mga coastal areas natin are definitely a salt water, so ano ba yung epekto ng salt water sa mga structures natin? Okay? Medyo meron din siyang relationship dun sa water resources dahil yung mga lugar na malapit sa sea or dagat, definitely ma-infiltrate yung salt water or mag-intrude dun sa ating potable water. So as a coastal engineer, coastal civil engineer, how can we optimize or utilize or anticipate those parameters, not just on the structures but also for the planning and implementation of coastal projects na sinasabi natin. Next is for earthquake engineering, designs and structures withstand seismic forces and ground motion. So alam naman natin that we are situated in the Pacific Ring of Fire, Pacific Typhoon Belt, wherein most of the natural calamities happens in the Philippines. Most of the time, 20 typhoons visited the Philippines, earthquakes, series of earthquakes that cannot be predicted. Event in the very advanced country, hindi pa nape-predict yung on how or on when did a earthquake will happen in that area. Okay? So, hindi naman ibig sabihin hindi natin alam kung kailan magkakaroon ng earthquake is hindi na natin i-consider yung earthquake engineering. So, sabi nga yung 30 years na time to construct a building is in seconds kaya yun patumbahin ng isang certain magnitude of earthquake. So as a civil engineer, we must consider it lalo na yung mga structures natin sa Pilipinas. Okay? So based on my, again, research, if we follow the provisions of the National Structural Code of the Philippines, we can design the structures that can stand a magnitude 8.2 type of earthquake. Okay, by the way, we're not designing an earthquake-proof structures but an earthquake-resistant structures. Next, for forensic engineering investigation of failures and performance of structures. So those are at least subdivisions of civil engineering. Based on, take it from me, that there's no best among this subdivision. It depends on the person or it depends on the civil engineering what subdivision got their interest or what type of subdivision or specialization they want on their professional journey as a civil engineer. So all of those or all of these subdivisions or specializations are equally important. Nothing best among the other and etc. Okay, so the good thing is, even though there are certain subdivisions of civil engineering, at the end of the day, those specialization or subdivisions are capable yung mga civil engineers. Okay? It's just that there are some matters that we need to specialize it to have a more in advanced knowledge among this uh, technology or subdivision. So, yun yung mga subdivisions of civil engineering. Next, what are the engineering services and contracting regulations in the Philippines? So this will be a comprehensive guide to a classification, licensing requirements, and professional standards for civil engineers, consulting, and contracting. So classification of engineering services, the scope of professional engineering services varies significantly based on the organizational structure, kung gaano ba kalaki, gaano ba capable yung kanilang technical expertise sa pagko-consult and etc. So these specialization firms can be a sole specialized in a one subdivision or combination or whatsoever. Okay, pwedeng expert lang sila sa structural engineering, pwedeng structural engineering and geotechnical, okay, so etc. Given that a few consulting firms possesses qualifications to deliver complete services for all types of projects, the industry standard involves collaborating with associate consulting professionals who bring specialized knowledge and technical experts to complex engineering undertakings. So these are at least the 7 categories in engineering services, such as the consultation, research and investigation, design services, construction services, academic services, engineering support, special services, and services as employee. So this consultation, research, and investigation category for civil engineering services, ibig sabihin ito yung mga possible na mga scope of work or pwedeng trabahuhin natin ng mga civil engineer. So we can be a consultant, a researcher, investigator sa mga technical knowledge or technical matters natin, such as yung mga preliminary and feasibility investigation and reports, plannings, appraisals, and valuation of and rate studies. Pwede din tayo doon sa assistance in financial matters in relation to civil engineering, materials engineering and equipment tests, direct personnel services, research and development, and special services. So we can be a consultant researchers among these civil engineering related na subcategories. Second, in our categories, the design services and construction projects, pwede tayo makipag-collaborate sa mga architectural, civil engineers, electrical, planning, and other professionals in design services that we can offer to our client. So we can have or we can write or pen a study and report phase, preliminary design phase, final design phase, bidding or negotiation phase, construction phase, and the operation phase. So this category also proportional or in relation to what I've mentioned earlier, the 5 phases of construction: initiation, planning, execution, monitoring, and closure. So as a civil engineer, we can be a contractor that construct the project, provide its reports, design phase, we can bid and negotiate to our clients, and etc. So for construction services, project supervision, contract management, and field engineering. So this type of services are most of our work after we graduate. So nangontrata yung mga engineering students or engineering graduates or engineers. Okay, so if we don't have enough idea or enough knowledge about how to construct a project effectively, malulugi yung kumpanya. Okay. For special services for construction projects, we can be a land surveyor at least. We can have a value engineering study in order for us to make the project more economical. Preparation of environmental assessment, computer simulation, and modeling sa mga such as mga structural softwares, drafting softwares, STAAD, BIM, and etc. So for general engineering support and services form the foundation of technical assistance. These specialized services require sound engineering judgment and technical expertise. So for drafting services, also known as technical drafting, this involves creating accurate representations of objects, structures. So kumbaga, bibigyan natin ng 2D or 2D perspective yung client natin or at least 3D if possible, kung ano yung possible na or kung ano yung magiging itsura ng dream house or dreams projects nila. Siyempre, in consonance sa mga existing mga provisions such as what is the appropriate scale, what is the appropriate dimensions of the paper na ipagpiprintan, pwede ba yung short band paper? Siyempre, definitely hindi. But the minimum requirement na papel is at least A3, 20 by 30, blueprint, etc. So land survey construction or land and construction surveying, although we're not entitled or capable to sign and seal a survey, since it is the main work of a genetic engineer, as a civil engineer, we have at least enough idea or enough knowledge how to survey, what are the technical descriptions, what are the boundaries of a lot. Okay, di ba meron naman tayong mga surveying subjects. Okay, so although we are not that professional, that entirely concerned to surveying, at least as a civil engineer, we have enough, at least, knowledge on how to survey, how to interpret data, how to read the technical descriptions, and etc. So for data procurement, on the other hand, the adequate, correct technical data that requires sound engineering judgment and professional guidance. So as mentioned before in our discussion, that a civil engineer, when being asked for his comment, it should always be an engineering judgment. It should be factual based on data, what are the best practices of a certain project or the lesson learned in a project. So for next category is for academic services. Civil engineer can be engaged also in teaching, lecturing, and conducting or facilitating a technical workshop and a professional development. So as a civil engineer, definitely we can teach civil engineering courses. It's either part-time or full-time. We can be a lecturer also in civil engineering courses in review centers and etc. Conduction of tutorials, refreshers in civil engineering. We can also serve as a resource speaker in technical sessions, either officiated by the PACE or any other relevant organizations in our professions. We can also do, as I mentioned, a resource speaker. On the other hand, we can also be a writer in the technical articles and pamphlets, mga technical, mga educational resources or educational materials na sinasabi natin. So for academic employment, as I mentioned, we can be full-time or part-time, definitely. According to R 8981, a registered professionals complying with check requirements or licensed civil engineer are mandated to teach all subjects that has a licensure examinations topic or subject. Okay, which also includes as PIC seminars for CPD points, conducting tutorial. So parang ganito lang yan. Okay? As a teacher, definitely the challenges for us is definitely not to teach based on my knowledge. Is the main challenge for us is how the discussions be planted to you or in our students. So, paano ba namin mapapatuto yung mga estudyante? Okay, paano nyo ba mas ma-appreciate yung mga dinidiscuss? So, yun yung mga main project or main problem or main challenges ng isang academic civil engineer. Okay, yung pagtuturo, yung mga requirements ng yan, um, we cannot solely depend on that. So, kailangan ma-implant namin or mapadala namin kung ano yung tinuturo at ninanais namin na malaman ninyo sa subject natin or lalo na yung mga merong mga kasali sa mga licensure examinations. So, services as employee, if uh, an employee is being a regular or permanent government employee, again, as basic in my case, I must abide in the Civil Service Commission regulation. So kaya nga wala akong subject na within my office hours. So in compliance to the Civil Service Commission regulation as a part-time instructor. Okay. So services employee, as I mentioned, we can be a full-time or part-time in nature. So for construction services and construction licensing, Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board is the main responsible agency, attached agency of the Department of Labor and Employment that deals with the licensing, monitoring of the contractors in the Philippines. Okay, on our key law or yung RA 544 civil engineering law establishes that civil engineers as the only profession authorized to supervise construction of buildings and engineering works. So kailangan daw yung mga civil engineer lang yung authorized according to our law to implement, monitor a construction projects and other engineering works. So in relation to that, a contractor cannot have a license unless he has a sustaining technical engineer or sustaining technical employee. So Section 23 of RA 544 clearly states that only registered engineers are legally permitted to take charge or supervise a construction project. Nothing more, nothing less. A registered civil engineer. So RA 4560 or the Construction License Law, amended by the Presidential Decree 1746, provides that no contractor, including subcontractor, shall engage in the business of contracting without first having secured a pickup license to conduct business. It is offense to engage in contracting business without license first being obtained. So kailangan daw, in order for us to, definitely to become a contractor, we must be first accredited by the pickup. Okay? Mayroong mga class yan, mayroong mga stages of license yan. Okay, mga double A, triple A class or license, etc. So type of contractor's license for regular licenses was criteria. Domestic construction firm operating as sole proprietorship, partnership or corporation. So at least 60% owned yung mga 60% owned ng Filipino yung license company. So scope is general authority to engage in contractor business in multiple projects. Special license is issued is a joint venture, consortium, foreign contractor. So yung scope limitation restricted to construction single specific project or undertaking. For its authorization, license tied to a specific project authorization by the licensee. So isa sa mga yung pinaka-head na construction firm is yung tinatawag natin na authorized managing officer. It can be the owner itself or authorized uh, employee in the company. It represents the senior executive leadership responsible for overseeing contractors' business and ensuring compliance with all PCAB requirements. It can be a senior executive in status, minimum 2 years of experience, and formal nomination from the head or the owner of the construction firm. Sustaining technical employee or STE as the serve as the technical backbone of the contractor. Ito yung mga merong mga knowledge about to pick up licensing, mga construction works, mga engineering works. Okay, as I mentioned, ito yung mga backbone ng contractor. So minimum requirements, at least 3 years, comprehensive knowledge in Philippine construction codes and ordinances, has a knowledge in construction laws, and at least has a 40 hours course training for the safety concerns of the project. So by the way, AMO and STE are required to have a technical workshop provided by the DOLE accredited institution. So that's for the construction firm at least. Next, for the selection of civil engineers, so the client selection committee, the client may have a specific committee in order for him or his or her to decide which or whom civil engineer they are going to be uh, talking to. So mga client selection can be qualification based, can be selection procedure or level of effort. Okay, next, understanding contracts. Next part in our discussion or subject, understanding the contracts. So this presentation will be have or will be its agenda to have a comprehensive guide to contract law, essential requisites, and legal principles in governing agreements. So, ano ba yung mga kinakailangan natin malaman when it comes to the contract? What is the difference between the contracts and the terms and conditions, and etc. So, what is contract? So, the law defines the contract as a meeting of minds between two persons. So, in order for us to definitely have a contract, we must first meet the minds of the two person. One in which both parties agrees. So magkakaroon tayo ng first party and second party. Okay, so definitely the law defines, as mentioned in this presentation, the meeting of minds of two individuals. For a context to exist or the contract to exist, there must be a meeting of minds of two parties who intend to be bound by legal relationship. So it can be definitely notarized and has a relationship. Okay, once kasi na-notarize na yan, na meron na yung legal relationship, once you did that or once na hindi ka sumunod dun sa kontrata ninyo, that is what we call the breaching of contract na sinasabi natin. On the other hand, agreement or for the word itself, there's agreement between two parties. So the main difference between the terms and conditions or agreement is what is the difference between uh, terms and conditions to contract is again legally binded, whereas yung terms and condition is hindi siya notarized or wala siyang legal binded na sinasabi. But hindi ko naman sinasabi or hindi naman natin pinapakita na hindi maganda yung terms and conditions. So, kumbaga case-to-case basis. So, what is the required? Definitely, if you have a client, we should have a contract between our client and our end. Okay, kasi if someone, either a client na tinakbuhan kayo, hindi kayo binayaran, so you can apply in the pertinent government office to contest yung pag-breach ng contract ninyo ng client natin, and that is a legal matter. So kaya nga very importante na kailangan merong legal relationship yung mga documents natin, mga notarized yan. So para hindi masyadong mahirapan yung pag-exhibit ng mga requirements natin or mga documents natin if mapupunta tayo sa legal aspect or legal matter. So for the key distinction as mentioned, contract when breach can be enforced in court, not in case of an agreement. So kaya very important na yung agreement natin dun sa client natin should be notarized. But ulit ko, kailangan notarized siya. So there are three stages of construction. We have the preparation, conception or generation, perfection of birth, and consumption or termination. So, pag sinabi natin stages, so kailangan sunod-sunod sila. So, possibly, halimbawa, meron akong client. So, we have a initial negotiation, what will be the scope of work, what will the project is, okay, mag-prepare, magkakaroon ng negotiation, pagbabargain, kung paano implement yung project, paano magiging bayad, ano yung magiging agreement, okay? So again, or in short, it is called the preparatory stage. So if your client wants to have a project na babayaran ka ng 30%, gusto mo is 40%, for example. So if you agree to the 35% or at least, that is what we call a initial stage or preparation or conception of your contract. So medyo nagkakaroon na kasi kayo ng agreement, what are the terms na pinag-agrihan natin. So once you submit to the preparatory stage, so the contract should be perfected. Okay, so or parang sumisilang na or napanganak na yung contract na napag-agrihan ninyo or yung nagkaroon na ng meeting of minds between sa inyo at saka yung client natin. So it has passed in preparatory state, thus giving birth to the contract. So after the contract being perfected, nagkaroon na ng pirmahan. So yung pinaka next goal niya is consumption or implement na natin yung contract and or i-terminate na yung contract natin. So after some time that the project being accomplished, so definitely fully consumed na yung contract natin. So magiging terminated na siya. Okay? So consumption, on the other hand, means accomplishment, either death or termination of contract where the parties cease to be contractually related to one another. So these are the three stages of contract. So kailangan hindi kayo mag-skip dito sa stages na to. Yung preparation, conception, generation, perfection of birth, consumption, and termination. So essential requisites of a contract. So ano ba yung mga kinakailangan ng isang kontrata? So definitely merong consent. So kailangan yung agreement natin is merong agreeable circumstances or consent na sinasabi natin. So if wala kayong consent, either one of the party, definitely there's no meeting of minds after all. Okay, so kailangan meron kayong consent. Okay, kailangan yung pinatutunguhan ninyong contract or scope of work is well defined and certain. Okay, for example, magpapatayo ka ng two-story building. So definite or defined kung anong building yung papatayuin mo, yung two-story. Whereas if you put in contract that I will have a residential building without some objectivity of that scope, medyo vague or medyo broad. So nagkakaroon na ngayon ng discrepancy. Eh, kumbaga, hindi malinaw yung gusto ninyong uh, i-put into contract. So, kailangan objective yung um, or uncertain yung mga gusto natin patrabaho doon sa contract. So, kung gusto pala ng client na uh, magpatayo ng structure, ano ba yung magiging role natin na civil engineer? Tayo ba yung magde-design? Tayo ba yung magko-construct? Or whatsoever? So, yun lang yung mga some matters that hindi dapat makaligtaan. Next, kailangan merong dahilan. Definitely. Ano yung cause? Bakit kayo nagkaroon ng contract? Okay? Definitely is to have a structures being built. Definitely one of that cause. Okay? So meaning of consent. Under the law, consent is manifested by meeting of the offer of the acceptance and cause where the constitute contract. The offer must be certain and acceptable, absolute. A qualified acceptance constitutes to counter offer. So pwede ka naman, halimbawa, katulad ng binabanggit ko kanina, kung gusto pala ng client is 30% nang ibabayad sa inyo, gusto mo is hindi ka nagsasangay sa 30%, masyadong mababa. So pwede ka magkaroon ng counter offer. So pag nagkaroon ng counter offer, for example, napag-agreehan ninyo na meet halfway, so magiging 35% na lang yung magiging rate mo after you accomplish the project. So definitely there's an acceptance on that part. So your offer must be certain, acceptable, and constitute to counter offer if you are not in consonance or in an acceptance stage initially this offer niya. So acceptance may be a letter or telegram, does not bind offerer except for the time it came to his knowledge. So definitely kasi di ba, halimbawa, meron kang in-offer na services, ganito yung magiging compensation mo, magiging ganito yung rate mo. And definitely your client will either or most of the time said or mentions that tatawagan na lang ulit kita or i-reach out na lang ulit kita if nabanggit ko na dun sa other party ko or whatsoever. So, yun yung mga sample na mga uh, scenario. Okay. Next, who are the persons or responsible individual that can give a consent? Or sino ba yung mga hindi pwedeng magbigay ng consent? Yung mga unemancipated minors, yung mga less than 21 years old, insane or demented person, yung mga the term insanity denotes the degree of mental illness or what's kumbaga not in the good state, sinasabi natin. The persons cannot give a consent if a deaf mute wouldn't know how to write. Okay. The deaf mute knows how to write, could intelligently give consent. So as long as na nagkaroon ng agreehan kahit PP yan, definitely is mentioned in number 3 kahit PP yan, basta marunong magsulat, they can issue a consent. So essential characteristics of consent, so kailangan intelligent yung pagbibigay ng consent, merong capacity to act free and voluntary, walang panggigipit or walang reason of violence or intimidation. So kailangan din conscious tayo and spontaneous. There's no impairment of consent by reason of mistake, under influence, or fraud. So ito yung mga vices of consent. Yung mga vitiate consent, yung mga hindi katanggap-tanggap na consent na sinasabi natin. If mali yung nabigay natin na consent, so if nagbigay man kayo ng consent but you're being in the state of violence, so meron na namimilit sa inyo, intimidated ka, halimbawa para na-intimidate ka when one of the contracting parties are compelled by reasonable well-grounded fear of an imminent grave evil. Tinatakot ka by his persons or property of one person's, his spouses, descendants, or descendants to give consent. So parang na-intimidate ka. So parang katulad din yan ng violence. So if under an undue influence, there's undue influence when the person takes improper advantage of his power over the will of others. So halimbawa, kahit feeling mo kahit panganay ka, bis ikaw na yung may karapatan to give consent. Okay, but legally speaking, it doesn't mean that you are the firstborn. You are the key responsible for the decision making of your other siblings, something like that. So fraud, insidious words and machinations are employed to induce the parties who balilituhin mo or lolokohin mo yung isang party in order for you to be engaged for such. Okay? Mere expression of opinion does not signify fraud unless made by expert and other party relied on the former special knowledge. The requisites of things as objects. So, kailangan yung contracts natin or valid yung object natin should be lawful. So, syempre, lawful, okay? Or makabatas, okay? Within the commerce of man. So, yung mga kakayahan lang ng tao. Definitely possible or possible. And determinate yung kind. And overall, must not in contrary to law, morals, good customs, public order, and etc. So if we can say the contract is being defective if the valid contract which lacks legal sufficiency due to example to correct or incomplete following of a required statutory procedures made it enforceable in court. So kapag yung mga sinasabi natin na mga requisite sa mga vices, mga yon can be served as can be treated as defective contracts. While the contract is valid, it lacks legal sufficiency and may not be enforceable to courts.